My name is Zina Al-Jaratli. I'm from Syria, and I've been in Moncton for a little bit more than 5 years. And I was lucky to be able to travel before arriving here. And I lived in different countries also that are on the other part of the world. Our language is Arabic. At school, we learn English and French. And some people still use ancient languages, like Syriac, for example. You can see several languages there, like Kurdish, Armenian. But at the moment, it's mainly Arabic and English and French at schools. Syria's population right now is around 23 million people. Unfortunately, a huge part of the population has left, refuged and fled the war, or just immigrated for better life circumstances. And it's almost 2.5 the size of Nouveau-Brunswick, 2.5 times. At school, public school. I didn't choose New Brunswick specifically. We were looking to immigrate to a place that is safe, that we can find stability, a place that my kids can thrive. I have a boy who's 11 and a girl who's 5. Immigration was part of the equation, specifically after the war, because it was hard to go back home economically, and even the structure of the society has changed. It's not safe at all, and it's not something we can choose. I think if I had the choice, I would be home, but for the most part, we don't. At the moment, I would say the Syrian war started in 2011. It started different than what it ended to be. And right now, the conflict that is happening and the whole region is impacting home. For example, I would say 2 days ago, there was an airstrike just right next to my parents' house. A whole building collapsed. I lost connection. So I think it impacts us severely, which is an unseen struggle, because we live the circumstances of war, the fear, the unknown. Will I be able to hear from the people that I love, or that's it? And that impacts our daily life. So being at work while everyone is in peace, which is amazing, and I wouldn't wish for anyone to live what we live, but for me, I hear the sounds, I see the scenes, and I'm worried as if I'm there. And that goes just the same way for my kids. Like my son would be worried about his grandparents in Syria, his best friend in Lebanon. And what happens there, sometimes people see countries as like separate existence, but it's not that. So it's a region, and when there is unrest there, it impacts everything and everyone. And it goes beyond what people see on the news. The aftermath, the economy, the means of life, everything is impacted. I can say there is a lot of stereotypes. Some of them, I take them in a humorous way. I joke with my friends here who are local about camels and belly dancing and whatnot. But for the most part, it's sad, because I come from a background that is thousands and thousands of years back, before even being Arab is a thing, before Islam, before Christianity. So the stereotype is usually that we are very, strict, that we don't have actual normal means of life, like gyms and what women do and what they cannot do. The good thing that with so many people, I can discuss those tricky topics and we exchange knowledge, but sometimes you cannot have those discussions. I would say the best thing about our culture that it's diverse. You can see people from all backgrounds, all religions, not only Christianity, Jewish or Muslim. You can see everything, Armenian, all sorts, and even ancient religions. We had people refuging to Syria thousands of years ago, and we lived this way since, and I never thought of who's who, what's what. It was just woven into the culture. We take the best of it. We live in harmony, and at certain point, we just don't differentiate. Wherever you want to pray, you can, or if you don't want to believe, you can. We have great music, food, poetry, and amazing female leaders. We had a queen named Zenobia. It's thousands and thousands of years, and I think first written language was found in that region. Christ was born there, and we have the first hymn, I think they call it in English, written in Syria too. So I'm very proud of my background, and I wish people just take a little time to research, read, because we all have something to offer. I'll give it like a simple example. We had the Ottoman occupation for 400 years. We had French occupation. We had several that the country went through. And actually what we have is the beautiful pieces of those cultures, and I'm proud of it. And let's say when I say 400 years of occupation, some countries didn't even exist for more than 150 years. So just for the perspective of things. Religion is important. Spiritually in general is important. We have the freedom of practice, and you will find several religions there. It's not only one. And we live in peace and harmony. Recently, in the past years, there has been some sort of sensitivity, and usually it's triggered by politics. But if you look at the people in general, we live together in peace, and we celebrate each other holidays, and it's just beautiful. There's a lot. We celebrate Islamic holidays, like we have two Eids, we have Ramadan, Prophet Muhammad's birthday, and same for the Christian holidays, Christmas, New Year, and there's I don't know what it's called in English, fasting, like there is a fast, and then there is Easter. We have even Nowruz, which is I think the Kurdish New Year. And there's a lot, and we celebrate them all. We live close to each other. Families are really integrated. Like you cannot separate the kids from the parents, from the grandchildren. And it's kind of a social system we have. So we don't rely much on, let's say, retirement income. Parents provide so much for their kids until they're married, and then the kids take care of their parents. And it's a kind of a cycle of families taking care of each other. And it's usually extended family. So during our holidays, we would have like 30, 40 people for a meal, and that's the norm. The good part of that, we live with different perspectives, I would say, and opinions all the time, which help us grow some flexible personality, and we stick to each other. That's a tough one to answer. I would say it's very critical. And when I speak about it now, it's my own opinion, and I represent myself only at this moment. There has always been people identify as LGBTQ+, and there will always be. Sometimes, and for the most part, it's something that is hidden. It's a taboo. It's something we don't talk about, even if we know it and see it. People try to go into denial. Usually, there's a lot of harassment. They face hard times, but at the same time, you will see so many people are okay with it. It's definitely not open, but it could be open within certain friends groups, family groups, and whatnot. But all in all, people are well integrated in the community, and there isn't, let's say, actual consequences for that. So eventually people will be able to get education, jobs, healthcare, and everything. So I would say this is where we're standing right now, but it's one of the freedoms there is that people need to fight for. To compare the Syrian household to any other, I would say the family is the core. The teachings at home are centered around preserving some of the culture, not losing identity, sometimes religion. Usually the father is the provider, decision maker. It's quite classic, a little bit dated gender roles. At the same time, mothers are workers, are providers, but still have to provide and preserve their gender role as the one who raised their children, take care of their, let's say, doctor appointments and hygiene and whatnot. But usually the moms have the greatest influence on kids. We definitely use a lot of body language. We're passionate, okay, in everything we do, including how we express ourselves. So it's hard to learn not to use the physical expressions when we talk or when we try to explain something of importance, I would say. There's nothing that I noticed so far being here and there, not only in Canada, that could be taken as offensive, no. But body expressions, hand expressions are different from one place to the other. Let's say in Italy, if you do that, like it means something is very good, it's perfect. For us, it's like, wait till we get home. It's not a fun one. But in general, no, we use a lot of body expressions. Sometimes people think, okay, when we talk and we're like really excited, are they fighting? No, we're not fighting, we're just excited and happy. It depends on the circumstances. Unfortunately and sadly, at the meantime, if you go to get your daily bread, people are like crowding just because of the certain circumstances. Usually, we have a good personal space. We respect that culturally and even religiously, I would say. Something that might be interesting, that not all people shake hands. They don't prefer that. And we have some good personal space. When we mentioned arm's length, yes, we have that. At the meantime, there is some different things that are going around, but they are for obvious reasons. Middle Eastern time is more about, it's not about a certain time, it's about time of a day. So I'll see you in the morning, I'll see you in the evening, at night, afternoon, and that's open timing. When you have an appointment, especially if it's work, doctor, or whatnot, we tend to go early and wait. And sometimes the doctor is not on time and we wait 3 hours for the doctor. It's different. So again, it depends. If you receive an invitation to a party, you're expected to go 2 hours after the time that is written on the invitation. So yeah, we're not so on time when it's casual. It's not frowned upon, but it's not accessible as it should be. I wouldn't say we are educated about mental health, or it's not something talked about. I can say I don't feel well. I can say I feel depressed, but that's not in the full meaning of things. There is mental health institutions, but it's usually connected not to actual well-being. In the people's mind, it's connecting to being crazy, which is a term I don't agree to in any circumstances. We all have our own challenges, and that's normal as human beings. So I would say it's not accessible, it's not talked about. Most people don't even have the terms to explain what they're feeling. And we've been living in a state of survival for so long as a whole country that we don't even realize or recognize how anxious and how we just run on that survival mode rather than living and being ourselves. So for most people, they live and die without knowing the peaceful version of themselves. And that's no one's fault other than the current political situation. Small talk is very important there, and I don't think we ever thought about it. It's unconscious. We have a lot of small talk, yes, because we tend to be warm, talkative, and friendly, and generous. And I think these are traits that lead to that. And it's different depending on the situation. So you have different small talk when you're at the grocery store, with your neighbor, with your colleague. And that comes to the history of the region also, because it was built on trades, historically, manufacturing, Silk Road. So there has been a lot of building on the communication skills of this region of the world. And I would say we know how to use different topics in the right circumstances. Yeah. For the most part, you can talk about any topic with people from Syria. Some topics recently have been, I would say, avoided. And the main reason is fear of the consequences, like religion and politics. But originally, you can technically talk and ask and discuss anything. And we like to exchange different point of views and different ideas, and that's quite enriching. Now, as I mentioned before, we are a diverse community. So you could expect different answers and different reactions based on the background of the person you're talking to. But in general, we're quite open and we love to be asked questions rather than people making assumptions about us. In terms of clothing, in general, it's a modest country. But you can see people wearing bikinis on beaches, and you can see burqa and abaya and hijab. And people live there with respect to each other because you cannot you cannot claim freedom if you're double standards. Unfortunately, you see places in the world that they claim the title of freedom while they easily discriminate a woman wearing hijab. But they applaud for a different type of clothing. And I think that's double standard. So in Syria, you will see this and that. If you don't like it, you choose to go elsewhere. People have the freedom to be. So is there anything we should wear? No. Sometimes families have their own way of thinking and may impose that on their kids. But for the most part, that is not true. The most challenging is the stereotypes that comes with the word Syrian. Rather than looking at the rich culture background, people look at what they see in the media, and it's definitely biased. People comment on food, color, skin color, and everything. It's hilarious a little bit. Because even if you go to Syria now, you'll see people with darker skin, lighter skin, blue eyes, black eyes. So we never even thought about it until we're outside of Syria. And we lived in places that we were considered light, ironically, and we come here and we're dark. So technically, it's a matter of a personal opinion, and it's irrelevant. Same for the food. Our food is really, really yummy, I would say, for the simplest word I can use. It's rich and it's healthy. We have various resources in the land, so that you can see that reflected on our food. So yeah, kids face racism. They face being misunderstood. Escaping war, I would say, escaping the circumstances that they see in, even if they didn't directly live there, their parents have. I think there's a lot of trauma involved and stressors that people translate as personality trait, while it's actually circumstances and wars that the kids are fighting from within. But it's hard to explain, especially when you're a little kid, so it's really tough. And I faced that in my recent job, and I find there's a lot of lack of compassion and empathy when you really don't know the actual context of things. The school system is definitely overwhelmed. They're not prepared. They're not equipped with what they need. Children from different backgrounds suffer in different ways, whether it's the support that's provided at schools, let's say mental health support, integration support. And when I say integration, actually preserving the kid identity while helping them be part of this community. Teachers are stressed. They're doing their best, and I've seen that every day. But we're asking too much from teachers. Academically, coming from where I come from, I think it's quite uninteresting for kids, and it doesn't have this worldly perspective. So kids should learn about at least the cultures they deal with every day at school, let's say, and their history. Have a hint about others rather than just studying the here and now. And it's a complex, huge system that when one of us speaks up, it's hard to make any change. It's like moving a mountain. And just like any other country, when you try to make a change, not everyone is happy, and it's not in the best interest of everyone. So there are barriers that we can face that is unspoken. But I think now that we're all coming together as immigrants, as refugees, or from everywhere in the world, maybe that's a great start. I think the teachers are overwhelmed. And again, we ask them for a lot because they are the ones on the front line. And they are the ones dealing with the kids' needs and challenges day in and day out. And they're not the ones who can make the policy change. They're not the one who cannot change the educational system. About the academics, I find it's not challenging enough for kids. The pace is slow. So I find the kids are not as interested or as engaged, and they're not moving forward with their learning as they should be. There isn't a lot of opportunities for kids who need special help, whether they're having struggles with education or they're advanced. They try to put everyone in the same pool, which is amazing, so kids can support each other. But there must be some extra support for whoever needed for whatever reason. Patience, warmth, and non-judgmental attitude towards the kids, unbiased treatment, and trying to fight back pre-assumptions about those kids, and understanding that they are reactive for the most part, and it goes back to the trauma and fear they live in, whether they lived in personally or it was generationally transferred to them. I'm thankful for the teachers, for the effort they put every day, every single day, and that's a lot to navigate. And it's all recent to the region, to Nouveau-Brunswick per se. So just the fact that the community is putting this effort to put this video together, for the teachers to watch it and to take a moment to reflect, that's an amazing step in the right direction. So, but in any way, I'm really thankful for the teachers for everything they do every day.